everyone. Today we are in Yukon, Canada. We just left the historic Dawson City, which was originally created for gold dredging in the river. That's what all these mounds are. This is all dredgings that they've got out of the river over the years. But we just left. It is now in the negative 30s Fahrenheit, and we're about to take the Dempster Highway all the way to the official Arctic Circle, the highest point you can possibly drive in North America. Up there, the temperature is not actually going to be very much colder. It's going to be about the same, but there's no trees, so it's going to get really windy, and they have an ongoing blizzard warning up there, so we're going to see how that is. The beginning of the Dempster Highway, which we're about to start in 30 kilometers, we're going to take a left-hand turn, has a gas station. We're going to top off. This truck is perfect for these conditions because we have the auxiliary fuel tank. This truck can go 3 times as far than the stock gas tank, which is great because what we learned is Google Maps will tell you there's gas stations on these roads, and they either are abandoned or aren't open in the winter. Many campgrounds are also not open in the winter, but we do find ones that are a day apart. Like last night we could not find one up here, but the owner of the campground said we can just plug in our engine heaters and camper for heat on the side of their gas station. And in the morning when they open up, or up here most businesses open up in the afternoon because that's when the sun comes up for a couple of hours. So we paid them $25, and they said on our way back down we can plug back in and pay again. So that was nice of them. And they also have coin-operated showers we might use on the way back down. They said it's $4 worth of coins, and just beware, the water heater runs out after just 5-10 minutes in this weather. They also have laundry machines, or maybe we'll wait until we go back down to Hope. We don't really get that stinky when it's this cold out because we're not sweating at all. So there's also a lot of areas where it says avalanche warning, do not stop. But what's awesome is today we're going to be going through an Arctic mountain range. I don't know how much of it we're really going to see. This area only has 2 hours of full daylight. Where we're going has 0 hours of full daylight until the middle of January. It's now the 28th of December. So that's what we're going to experience. Total darkness, blizzard conditions, possible polar bears. We got to be careful where we sleep. Up there by the Arctic Ocean, we'll probably get a hotel room and sleep there, just because they said it's not uncommon for a polar bear to break into cars in the winter. They're very hungry, and they're not afraid of you at all. And bear spray freezes in these temperatures, so we're not going to trust anything like that. But we got to go up there for the experience. We're in the area. It's 14 hours further north to the furthest possible point in North America you can drive. That's going to be so cool. There's actual ice crossings in the winter. In the summer, there'd be ferries. So we're going to drive across frozen lakes and rivers today. I don't know if we'll make it up there today or not. It's 14 hours. We're probably going to have to stop and sleep somewhere halfway up. And we're going to ask if we can plug into a gas station. If they say no, we'll say, can we give you $100? If they say no, can we give you $200? We'll probably get somebody to say we can plug in for the night, which is good. But also there's lots of people willing to help you in these cold temperatures. And on our way up here, we also got to help a couple people. We've seen some people stuck on the side of the road. We asked if they needed help. Some said no. One guy approached us asking if they could have a jump because they've been stranded for over a day with no heat because their diesel camper van wouldn't start. We handed them our battery jumper. We got a big one for a semi-truck, which can jump multiple cars, probably dozens of cars before it drains. So that guy took it, he started up, and he was like, I'm not shutting my van back off until I get home in Alaska. So at least we got to help somebody there, and we're going to start the Dempster Highway, and I'm going to document any challenges of the road. The reviews say that this road is smoother in the winter because all the ripples from the permafrost are filled in with graders. They throw gravel over the top of the ice roads to gain traction because nobody wants to use tire chains. If the semi-trucks had to use tire chains commuting from up there and back, they have to go 30 miles an hour or 50 kilometers an hour maximum for safety with chains that could possibly break and go flying through something and damage equipment or somebody. So by putting gravel on the road, everyone can go substantially faster. Like the road we're on right now would be slippery if they didn't put gravel down on it. I'm able to keep a consistent 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour with no problem. We just slow down slightly around corners, do a brake check before going down the extreme grades. Some of these Arctic roads have grades we've seen up to 16%, which is scary, but they're not slippery because they're treating them very well. The only issue we had, so far, the Klondike Highway was absolutely perfect. We were driving faster than I thought we'd be able to. Most of the Alaska Highway is okay. The Alaska Highway had some pretty scary spots where we crawled really slowly because, not because it was slippery, because it was so bumpy. The snowplow would get half the ice off, making it severely bumpy. And in this weather, your shock absorbers don't work very well. The oil is so thick. Your suspension parts that are rubber are super hard. In fact, we found a fake -40 extension cord. It shattered in our hands when we were bending it, break down to bare metal, and we had to throw it out. But then we have a genuine one that stayed flexible in these conditions. So fake equipment is showing itself in these conditions, and it's all getting returned, all shattered to the store, and you're selling fake stuff that's not certified and stuff. But anyways, we're going by the airport right now. It's $300 round trip if you don't want to take this ice road, if you want to just go to the Arctic, but we want to do it. I have a passport card, and I was thinking, would I even be able to take a flight? I looked it up, and they said, yes, all they need is an ID, because it's not going over an international border. They would just let me on with an ID, surprisingly. Wouldn't need a passport, because I asked them, would I be able to get on this flight without a actual passport, just a passport card? That wouldn't have been a problem, but we're gonna drive it instead. It'll be cheaper to drive it, and we get to see the experience of one of the scariest roads in North America. Yeah, you see all the cars parked there? They all took the plane, and they're all getting snowed in. It's supposed to be on and off snow and blizzard conditions the next 4 days. We're hoping to come back down here and see the Aurora Borealis. They said that this is, actually, Dawson City, you can see it better than the Arctic in a lot of cases, the way it lines up. But with the snow and freezing fog, they said it's not going to be great until the end of the week. So we'll try the end of the week. Hopefully we get some clear skies. Maybe we'll see it in the Arctic. It changes every day where the Aurora is. But that being said, the fuel pump is not having problems. The transfer pump is not having problems, because I just push a button on my dash and it'll fill up from the tank I have in the back of the truck. As we're driving, it just refills us. We don't have to use gas cans or anything, although we do have gas cans in case we got even that critically low. Right now it's only in the -30s, but the days it was in the -50s on the way up here in BC, the transmission was having a few shifting problems. Like, it would shift a little bit late, no big deal. The steering got a little bit stiff. The hydraulics and the power steering were getting a little stiff. I never noticed the brake fluid stiffening up, not at all. And if you see my other videos, we got a block heater, pan heater, starting battery heater. We try to plug all those in whenever possible. One night when it was -40, we had to start it without the engine heater, because the generator in those cold conditions, it wasn't able to produce as much power as it usually could, so we could only heat the camper. The truck did start, no problem. The starter just had to run for like 5 seconds, a little more than usual. It was indeed a rough start, but the truck handled it okay. Don't want to do that if we don't have to, but it's good to know the truck will start at -40, and the Arctic won't even be that cold. So I don't think we have anything to worry about. Even if we don't find a place to plug in, we'll just have to use our little generator, which is a pain in the butt, because in these conditions it's running super hard and it burns out of fuel every 3 hours. And I found out the Honda generator, you can buy an auxiliary fuel tank that goes next to it, a special fuel cap, because when it pressurizes its fuel system, it would just suck it right through a straw. We will get that for next year. I didn't know that was a thing, unfortunately. So at least last night we got a good night's sleep. We didn't have to wake up at all. We found out our camper is very airtight. The carbon monoxide alarm started going off from our own breathing. There's nothing in there burning fuel. It's just us breathing in the camper. So now we know when that goes off, we have to start opening the door just for a little bit here and there. This area here says do not stop. This is an avalanche area. Look at all that heavy snow and ice built up on the trees. And you can see how it's an avalanche area and mudslide area. Look at the power poles, how crooked they are from the land slowly moving. That's pretty cool. This area is really interesting to experience how things work. I have to every now and then get out, feel the trailer bearings, because I do worry about those. I repacked them before this trip, but there's so much ice on the trailer tongue and everything, we wouldn't be able to disconnect it very easily. So we're leaving it connected. Everything should be greased enough for this 10,000 miles of cold. I think we're fine. I over-greased everything severely before we came up here. Fresh oil change in southern British Columbia. So the engine should be okay for this. When we get back to southern BC, I'll give it another oil change in the truck stop parking lot, which worked out fine, because down there, they have mild winters in southern BC. It's like eastern Washington state. So that'll be cool. Look at the raven. There's lots of friendly ravens on the road. You pull up to them and you can toss them food. They'll come over to you. There's friendly ravens everywhere on these roads. And the frost heaves are very nicely marked. None of them are abrupt, amazingly. It's just like a little roller coaster. There's no boom boom like I get in my area. Sometimes the road will lift up and it's like hitting a curb. You can break stuff. We haven't come across any of that up here. Gotta be careful around these corners. I'm gonna do a brake check in a minute. Wow, look how covered these trees are. Brake check. Okay, so today we will, yeah, it's not slippery at all. So today we're going to be going into old growth boreal forest. What that means is you'll have a tree that's only as tall as you. It'll have a girth of only as thick as your wrist, but it'll be hundreds of years old because it's so harsh up here, the growing conditions. Growing season is so short, the soil is garbage, they grow very, very slow. Amazingly, we haven't seen any animals up here. A couple nights ago, we saw over a dozen moose. There was hundreds of deer, hundreds of bison all over the roads. Nothing up here. It would be nice to see a polar bear while we're driving, but not while we're stopped, because I do think it would get in our camper pretty easily. We got bear spray, but bear spray is not rated for these temperatures, and apparently they don't make bear spray that goes down to these temperatures. I think they should. They should make bear spray that contains a little bit of antifreeze, but they don't seem to. Gas prices are not horrible up here. Gas prices are horrible a couple areas along the Alaska Highway in BC. You'll pay $2 a liter, which equivalates over to about $6 a gallon in American money. But it's because it's the middle of nowhere. Up here, it's a bit cheaper, not as bad. I wonder how it'll be up in the Arctic. We're gonna spend a few days in the Arctic. They got restaurants up there. They got hotel rooms. I really want to try staying at one or a couple construction camps. What that is like the place we explored. I have a video titled "The Most Gruesome Thing I've Ever Found Exploring: An Abandoned Logging Camp." That kind of complex. Because it's so cold, it's not feasible to heat plumbing for every hotel room, so everyone gets their own heated bed. That's all it is a locking room with a bed off of a main corridor. And then whatever ones they're not renting, they don't have to heat, because it costs a lot to heat stuff up here. Our camper walls, every surface in the camper except the middle air where we're sleeping is ice. The windows are covered in ice. The snow up here is so fine that it's creating a dust storm behind us, and it gets in through the gaps of the camper because the gaskets on the camper windows are shriveling up the rubber, and it's getting in a little bit of snow as we drive. But this is cool. This experience is absolutely amazing. I love it. We also can't have our phones out in the cold for more than 5-10 minutes. They immediately shut down. It's so cold. Never experienced like this. But they make heated phone cases, which I'll have to invest in, because it would be actually really nice to move up to Alaska. There's lots of jobs people don't want to do. do in the cold that I wouldn't mind doing. Land is super cheap. Houses are super cheap. Fuel and food are a bit of money. That's where it evens itself out. Well, that's a frost heave right there. So we'll go into Alaska probably next week, but we got to try this super northern highway first. Hey, you didn't shut your big beam off. He probably doesn't even realize it's on. I use my off-road lights too on these roads at night and just treat them as an off or a high beam. These roads are so remote in the middle of the night that you'll pass a vehicle like every couple hours. But they're maintained amazingly. Just don't slide off them. The ditches are huge because they have to build the road up really high so the frost can't get down to the water and destroy it. All right, everyone. This is the last gas station for probably the next 4 hours in these weather conditions. So we have to top off gas cans for our generator, top off everything here. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna drive through the Arctic mountain ranges in the middle of total blackness with severe blizzard conditions tonight with possible polar bears. So we need to keep our bear spray inside of our -40 jackets to prevent it from freezing. Okay, everyone, we are done filling up. I have to use gloves because this is metal. If you touch that, it'll give you instant, it's as if you're touching dry ice. That is so cold. I usually don't wear gloves getting in and out just to pump gas, but I had to because you touch this metal with bare fingers, it hurts. It will literally freeze your skin immediately. But we just took on nearly $200 of fuel right there. And I topped off our gas can in case we need it for the generator. Wow, sun will be down soon. All right, everyone, we are starting Dempster Highway now. Yes, doing a little drift right here. Okay, I'm snow blinded. I can't tell snowbank from the road. Everything just blends together. There's no contrast. I remember that there is yeah, here it is. Very narrow bridge entering the Dempster Highway. Not many people use it, so they only have one-lane bridges. And in some areas where the permafrost and just spring thaw would destroy them, they have ferries and ice bridges in the winter. Can't wait till we get to some of the ice bridges. This bridge has a metal deck. That's so cool. As we're driving, we're pushing it through. Gonna do a brake check as soon as we get off this. There is pavement right here, but it ends in like 10 minutes. Look at the boreal forest. It looks so nice. Try to get this ice off the windshield. I want to time lapse some of this beautiful road before the sun goes down. Very limited daylight. It's not slippery. It's also not plowed. We're driving through like 5 inches of snow right now. Not bad. I'd rather drive through some snow than ice. We'll continuously do some brake checks. I wonder what MPG we're gonna get. I'll notify you in an hour. We have to wait a little bit to get true MPG reading. Because I can feel we're bogging down a little bit just because we're having to push through the snow with a trailer. Hopefully we see some wildlife up here. That would be nice. We had to turn around on this road back in the summertime because it was so horrible. That's where we're going, 700 kilometers away, what it just said on that sign, all the way to the end of the road. There's a little bit of bumpiness under here, as long as it's not slippery. Next service is 370 kilometers, that's far. And in these conditions, bogging down, I don't think most regular cars would be able to complete that because gas mileage is definitely down on these road conditions, especially when we get up here into the mountain ranges and we're hauling. We have lots of stuff inside the car, multiple tanks of extra fuel, so I believe we'd make it all the way to the Arctic in one go, but it's nice to have things halfway because I don't think I'm going to drive this whole thing at once. The speed limit here, I believe, is 90 kilometers or 55 miles an hour, and we're only accomplishing like half that, so this could take us 2 full days of driving. All right, everyone, we might just get to the mountain ranges before it gets dark. This area, we're able to go a little bit faster. It's not slippery at all. It's now plowed. We didn't pass the plow. It just turned around 30 kilometers short of the Klondike Highway. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's like some of the logging roads that they keep the very entrance of their roads horrible to prevent unprepared people from taking it. That could be, I don't know. But look, our first grade big hill. What percent does that say? It does not say. It just says use low gear. We're finally getting into the Arctic mountain ranges. Looking at the maps, this is nothing. I don't think we'll even get to see the massive mountains. There just won't be daylight. Even if there is a little bit, it won't be. Yeah, look, I'm coming to a complete stop on this hill. No problem, not slipping at all. But look at the drifting snow. We're knowingly driving into a blizzard. But that being said, looking at the forecast, it's not like Dawson City, which is supposed to get 4 more days of on and off snow. Up here, there's only like 18% snow today, less tomorrow, less the next day. It's just a lot of drifting. But there is a blizzard warning way up here, so we'll see. I notice that being up in these conditions, you do get very dry. Your skin gets dry and scratchy up here. Gotta use some lotion later. There's a little parking lot. There's no guardrails either on these roads. It is still snowing out, very lightly, but you can see some of the larger mountains we're driving by. If you want to look it up on the map, we're passing a sign that says Glacier Creek. Very skinny looking boreal forest. This is probably old growth. I couldn't imagine they would have ever logged this for anything. It's not worth it. Got another very big, scary hill. Lightly tap the brakes. Not bad. Yeah, we stopped really good. We passed one maintenance vehicle. They're not running chains either. Very pretty out here. Let me show you the mountain range again. It's actually clearer now. Look how skinny and tiny the trees are already getting. Thankfully, we have a long twilight period up here. The sun is technically already down. The wind is starting to gust without the trees to block it, so we're going to keep our speed slow. We calculated if we stay at 30 miles an hour, 50 kilometers an hour, it'll only add 3 hours to the 14-hour trip. And we think that's worth it for safety. We don't want a sudden gust to try to tug us off the road if we're going fast over the ice. We got lots of off-road lights and huge lights that we can carry around. We want to go for an Arctic walk when there's no trees up at the very Arctic. I think there might be a little bit of twilight up there. I'm not quite sure what to expect. There's no daylight for another couple weeks. They have 6 weeks of darkness where we're going. Complete darkness. That supposedly does not include twilight. Look at the beautiful Arctic mountains. So officially we'll be in the Arctic. It's going to be a couple more hours actually to the Arctic Circle. But there's permafrost already for hours. In case anyone's wondering, out on these roads, your satellite radio in a vehicle won't work. If you have a satellite phone, in most cases it will not work out here. It's because the mountains surrounding us are so tall, it blocks the satellite it's in space most of the time. None of that stuff works. Alright everyone, the trees now are starting to quickly disappear. They're starting to get smaller, more scattered, being replaced by bushes and grassy hills. And the wind is starting to absolutely whip. But the road is not slippery at all. They put gravel over the top of the ice, so brake check. Even with a trailer, I could not get it to slide. This is awesome out here. On this road, we're achieving 10 mpg. I think mainly because of the cold, which is making mpg worse, and the elevation. Look at the lack of trees. This is really cool, this area. Permafrost. There's some frost heaves, but nothing abrupt. Like, what's this flag? That might be marking a culvert. There's some frost heaves, it's like woo 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 woo, but nothing abrupt. It's just like a little roller coaster ride. Look at this car right here. How long do you think that's been down there? Don't drive too fast on the ice roads. We've seen a few of them. We also found, like yesterday, dozens and dozens of vehicles that just, for some reason, broke down. Just abandoned out here. Okay, what do they have marked with these cones? Not very bad, but I guess if somebody was going really fast out here, which I'm sure they do. Well, everyone, we have made it to the Arctic tundra. Look at this. There's a river here, and it's in these temperatures still liquid. I saw an animal, I believe, so I'm walking down here instead of turning around. Is it an animal? Or is it just rocks? It's just rocks, but I had to come and make sure. The moon is also out now. Beautiful out here. But I gotta get in. I can only be out here without a jacket for like 5 minutes. and just backed up and needed to do a double take. That looked like an old car down there. It's a rock again. Alright, we're gonna continue. It's getting darker out. This is like the twilight period. The sun's already technically down for a while. We're just eating freeze-dried fruit and Cheez-Its. Road's a bit bumpy here. Brake check. Not bad. Like the road is going to be permanently bumpy like this now, but it could be worse. It could be ice. Could be slippery, I should say. Everyone, even though the sky's not clear, I think that's northern lights that we're starting to see. I'm really hoping we get a clear day of seeing this up here. I think that's northern lights starting. We passed a sign saying chains should be put on at this point, but we're still not slipping. Alright, this is really cool, this metal grate bridge. I don't know why they don't still make these. It seems like it would be easier to maintain. But the frost on this is amazing. I love these sort of bridges. Yeah, there's no problem at all stopping on that kind of material. Oh wow, it sounds actually awesome. Listen to this. Awesome. Okay, it's completely dark. And that river is actually steaming a little bit because there's a crack in the ice with a little bit of water showing. I think there's hot springs along this road because we keep smelling stuff that smells like a giant fart. And that's what hot springs smell like. And before it got dark, I noticed areas where the water wasn't freezing. There was just little ponds in this sort of weather, not freezing. So we've made it down now to negative 43 degrees Fahrenheit. Very, very cold. Very, very heavy frost up here. We're starting to get some of that ice fog forming. What's this sign? Be prepared to stop. I think it's in case rocks are in the road. The frost is crazy. Look at that. Yeah, I definitely see how rocks and things can slide down here. And I see where they have to plow snow drifts out of the way. But the road's not slippery yet. Alright everyone, you see that? We're right next to some really steep hills, and we just went by a sign saying, "Do not stop, avalanche area." Well, here's that ice fog. Shut that light off so we can see a little bit better. Alright everyone, the forest came back. The trees are so skinny, and we checked the weather at our destination. It was supposed to be about the same as Dawson City. That's maybe true, but the road going there is the coldest we've seen yet. So the gauge on my dashboard goes down to -50, then it turns blank. So it's at least -50 out here, and I think it's even colder than that because for the first time on the trip, I'm experiencing the power steering fluid is very thick, which means the steering wheel is very stiff to turn. I was told by Toyota that not to worry about that, it doesn't damage anything. And on these flat roads, I don't feel it, but every time we have to go up a really big hill, the transmission is having trouble shifting because the fluid is so thick. So yeah, we definitely want to plug in tonight somewhere. And I guess if we can't find a place to plug in, I'm not too worried about it. There's a little town coming up at a halfway point in about 2 more hours. Probably be able to plug in there. If not, I think I should today plug in the engine, and we might just have to whip out the Sub-Zero sleeping bag combined with our jackets. Might have to do that, or run the heat for a little bit to get our sleeping bags and trailer warm, then switch it over to the engine, because the engine only has to preheat a couple of hours. As you can see, there's no ice. Not really. We're not having any problem stopping. It is so cold right now. We're gonna put a thermometer out here when we go to sleep. I got out because I want to see what these tracks are. It is moose tracks. That is moose tracks. So yeah, there's definitely moose up here. The sky is clear. It would be so nice to see the aurora. Yeah, the sky's clear. I see stars. I see the moon. There's particles in the air everywhere, so the flash. Maybe we'll get to see the aurora tonight or tomorrow. It's clear. We were supposed to have snow nonstop on this trip. I'm glad it's not snowing. I'm glad it's clear. I'm glad we're getting to experience this extreme cold. It is severely cold. We are 2 hours from the halfway gas station. The power steering is very stiff, and the doors are rattling and creaking. The plastic is so cold. Everything is so cold. I'm not going to find out if my transfer pump works unless we absolutely need it. It's a lot of wear and tear on everything. It's easy to break suspension and stuff when it's very cold too. I heard a lot of people that live up here will replace everything with airbags. That's, I guess, better than oil-filled shocks. All right, everyone. We're taking it very easy on these bigger hills going up because the transmission is not liking shifting to try to go up them fast. It got into the negative 50s, but the temperature is quickly rising again. We're now to negative 31 Fahrenheit. Still extremely cold, but it's getting warmer. And I think up there to the right hand of the road, you see that little dot up there? I think we're seeing like Jupiter or Mars. That's definitely a planet. That's not a star. All right, everyone. Right now we're going down a 14% grade. Almost no slippage. We stopped pretty good. Always do brake checks on these hills. We haven't found any reason to put chains on yet, but I'm going down this in lower gear. I'm starting to feel it a little bit. The brakes are getting a little bit stiff, which is also normal for this weather because the fluid is getting so thick. Take a look at this, everyone. We've encountered this a couple of times on the road, but this is the first one I'm filming. This is snow drifting. If you hit this at a high speed, it's not great. You gotta slow down to go over these ripples. They haven't plowed it yet, but a few cars have driven through it. And there was one area, it looked like snow fell off a cliff, so it was like a miniature avalanche we had to drive through, but it wasn't very much. Alright, we're going on a couple hours of non-stop bumpiness. At least it's not slippery. Alright, everyone, this has got to be the worst road I have ever been on in my life. It was so bumpy the majority of the last 8 hours. 8 hours since we left the Klondike Highway. That is exactly 260 miles. And there's more gas stations along the way. I'm really hoping we can top off here because that's going to be scary continuing. So we used 3/4 of the truck's tank. We still have the auxiliary tank, but it would be cutting extremely close if we can't fill up here. I think we can fill up. I think this is an unmanned pump. Look at that. That's a really cool station. This reminds me of the co-op gas stations in Canada, which are a pain in my opinion because it gives you this code and you gotta... But anyways, yeah, we can definitely get fuel here. The store is closed. There's a little town here, and there's lots of snowmobile tracks the past maybe half an hour of people going up and down the road, but I have not seen another soul. It has been over 6 hours of driving since we passed that maintenance vehicle I mentioned. So this is nice to know there's service stations that you could probably get your vehicle fixed on these horrible roads. So let's see where we can fill up. Gasoline, okay, good. I've never seen it called petrol before in North America, but it is gasoline. It says right next to it too. And I gotta show you the frost built up on these pumps. It's insane. And also our brakes are starting to get a little sticky. When you hit the brake hard, the pads have been sticking a little bit to the rotor. Look at all that frost. Very, very frosty. Okay. So, I want to show you a little bit of the frost here. Wow. Look at that frostiness. This area is going to have like a single hour of daylight tomorrow. But where we're going, I think we're going to continue. So this building here, I can smell it. They got a generator running for power, probably powering all the buildings around here. Anyways, it looks like we don't have to worry. I got scared for a minute when I saw this box, but it's just a number because card readers don't work in these temperatures. We got over here. We're gonna figure out how to use this thing. We'll figure it out. I'm sure it'll be okay. Tap not accepted. My nose is freezing in these temperatures. See, it's snowing lightly, but the sky looks clear. You can see the moon and everything. Interesting. Very interesting weather. It's nice and still though. All right, let's fill this up, top it off. Look at how those numbers are moving in the cold. It's really cold. This is a fast pump. It's pumping really quickly. Ooh, it is cold. Cold and frosty, but I'm so happy this station was open because on our way up on the Alaska Highway, it was a nightmare. Half the gas stations were closed permanently, but the signs were even saying they were there. Then we had to backtrack to one and wait around until noon for it to open. All right, everyone, we're taking off. Hope my evap canister's okay. That was one of the fastest gas pumps I've ever seen, and it didn't shut off. It didn't shut off when it got full. It started spraying out so fast all over the ground. Lost like $10 worth of gasoline on the ground. Oh wow, look at that excavator covered in frost. It's pretty cool. Let's take a look at that. We're gonna check if the local hotel is open. We're gonna ask them if we can plug in. If we can't plug in, I guess we're gonna continue on our way. The temperatures around here are wild. So, right now it's only negative 26. Earlier I saw negative 50. It's like a temperature roller coaster. Where's that hotel?
It's
the next building?
The next building, yeah.
Okay. We'll see if there's anyone there. If we can, I guess we're gonna stop and plug in. This is a fairly early night for us. Then tomorrow we should get all the way up completely to the Arctic Ocean. Let's see if anyone's there. Is there any signal here? No. So we're gonna have to see if somebody's in there. It'd be nice if we could just plug in. I touched that gas pump in this cold. It's like touching a piece of nitrogen with your bare hands. I'll go see if anyone's open. See if we can plug in. You want to stay here or come in?
I can come in.
Yeah, okay. I guess I'll just park right here where I'm not blocking the entrance. Alright, let's see if we can find anybody in this place. Campground, trailer park. It says, please remove your dirty boots and put them over there. Are there any instructions in here for what we do? Hello? Well, we tried calling the place a couple times. I just tried knocking on this door a couple times loudly. I hear a TV playing in there. No answer. I think someone's probably in there sleeping. It says that's the restaurant dining area, but those doors are locked. There's an old payphone. I don't want to just wander this hotel. It's a very, very big building. Long hallway. It says over here, please see bartender for assistance, which I imagine is in there, but the person's sleeping. It says hours, they closed at 7, it's now 10. Not many people drive these roads. We're the first vehicle to probably drive upon this place from out of town in 6 hours. Restricted area. Oil drilling rig. Let's just see what they got around in here. We gotta take our shoes off, that's what it said. There's boot racks here in the front. If anyone wants to read anything they have in the lobby, I'll make sure it focuses in. This place gives me vibes that, everything in here is very, very, I don't know, vintage to me. I like it. Lots of interesting photos along the walls. It's a very, very big building. You can't even see the end of the hall down there. It just keeps going. It just has a few zigzags. You look, oh, there's the map of the place. Where's we? Okay. It says that it has camper hookups on the outside. We're hoping that we could pay them to just run an extension cord. But we can't find anyone, and the next town is probably 4 hours, 5 hours in these weather conditions. And then it would be even odder hours for someone to be showing up. It's gonna be New Year's Day in a couple of days. So we're gonna spend that up in the Arctic. Spend a few days up there after the long drive. I should try knocking one more time, but then we're gonna have to look around outside for I don't think anyone's in there, or they're hard of hearing. What's that door say that you knocked on?
I just hear noise coming out of it.
Yeah, don't knock on that. That's a hotel room. I wouldn't knock on that. It's probably a guest. I say we drive around and...
There's nothing.
Well, then I guess we're gonna have to start our generator up and do it how we've been doing it. At least it's not negative 50 like it was a couple hours ago. Got substantially warmer. We can definitely keep ourselves warm. We just won't plug the engine heaters in until like an hour before we go. And we should be okay. I think we'll be okay. Drive until we get tired.
I think we should stay here.
What, in the parking lot?
Yeah. I think there's electric campsites here.
Where? I guess we could try plugging into them and hopefully pay in the morning, but I don't know. It's considered stealing, I'd say, if we don't pay first. Unless it specifically says pay in the morning. Like the gas station gave us permission to hook up in the middle of the night when they weren't there, and we paid in the morning. That's what we did last night. The owner said that they wouldn't be there when we arrived, and they'd let us just hook up. They said they would leave an extension cord. We're hoping to see the aurora borealis. I thought I saw a little bit of it tonight, but I guess not. It moved very far north, so even the Arctic doesn't get to see it for a couple of nights. Then we hope it's still clear. This is creepy. It's a gigantic building, fully heated. We hear TVs in that room over there. And there's only one other car here. We assume it's the person who's operating it. Here outside, a massive diesel generator is what's running the place. You can hear it cranking when we were out there pumping fuel. So they got a seasonal number. We just called year round and it says, sorry, this number has been disconnected. We added the same area code that the hotel has. That's what we assume it would be. We'll run out of numbers. Well, we're gonna put on our off-road lights and drive around this building and see what we can see before we continue to maybe the next town. I got a lot of energy drinks. Maybe we'll find another place. I don't think anyone's gonna be open for a while, but I can drive through the night. I'm just gonna drive slowly. Okay. Started back up. Engine almost completely cooled down in the 20 minutes we were in there. Okay, it'll tell us the temperature in a minute. So, yeah, this is a pretty big building. It goes all the way down here. Let's see, is there another entrance? Probably not. There's our off-road light. Snow's much deeper up here than where we started. There's a lot of vehicles over here actually on this end of the building. This looks like motels for probably workers, or actually this is probably where people live. It's all like little individual apartments back here. This section of the building. I don't know if they're visitors or if they live there. I guess we'll get back on the road. How far is the next whatever? Look for that.
Very far.
Worst comes to worst, we'll have to go to a rest area. It's not the coldest. It's negative 26 right now. The truck will start in that if we just heat the camper. Blocked it. We can't even actually continue. Well, I guess we are sleeping in their parking lot with our generator. Let's carefully back this thing up. How far do I gotta go? Actually, yeah, I do have to back up a while. I can't flip this trailer around here. I guess we're gonna spend the night in their parking lot. Who knows? Maybe they'll have breakfast in the morning. Because they open at 7, it says that lobby. At least we know the truck will start in negative 26, so we won't even bother plugging it in. We'll just prioritize our camper's heat. You can probably just look up, why is the Dempster highway closed? I'm gonna park away from the loves us. It's very, very uneven. Guess we'll just stay here. Sound good? We'll leave it running for a little bit while we preheat the trailer. All right, we put our little generator out there in the snow, and we're in our camper for the night. We turned on the heat in the camper like a half an hour ago, and we just sat in the idling truck for a while it heated up in here. It heated up a little bit in here. What's our thermometer say? It takes forever for the little camper to heat up. 40 Fahrenheit, 5 Celsius. Actually a little warmer than that. It'll quickly rise. We got it up to normal room temperature yesterday. So it's our little camper. Do you know where the remote control went? Let me have it. I'm gonna turn this to white so I can see a little better. White doesn't look like white. It does not. And the CO detector obviously fell down. This was going off the other night we were in here. I thought it was malfunctioning, but it apparently was our breath. So on this trip, we have to go out there about every 4 hours. That generator will run out of fuel. So we keep opening this door. Yesterday we plugged into a gas station and we stayed in here for 9 hours straight, and our breath set off the CO detector. It wasn't dangerous levels. That's made to protect you before it gets dangerous, but this thing's so airtight that us being in here 9 hours triggered that to go off, and I thought it was malfunctioning. It was not. But I don't think it'll happen tonight, since I'm gonna have to go out there every 4 hours and fill that thing with fuel. We are not plugging the heaters on the engine in tonight. It's negative 26, and we started it the other day in negative 40, so I'm not worried about the truck starting. I'm prioritizing the heat in here, because if I go plug in the heater on the truck, then the generator might not want to do that. It can't seem to handle all that stuff when it's cold. So we're gonna prioritize us in here, and maybe we'll plug the truck in when we go into that building in the morning. If the road is still closed, we'll go in there for breakfast when it opens at 7, and maybe we'll have somebody in there. We called them, called every number we could find. There was no one answering, and the answer machine was full. But we'll go in there in the morning when they open at 7. Maybe we can get some breakfast, hopefully. In the meantime, in the morning, as soon as we're done in this little camper, we're gonna probably plug in the truck's engine heaters for a couple hours, swap everything over. Let's see, everything's frozen solid in here. Hopefully we'll get some water melting in front of the heater. I put the heater down on the mattress. In earlier videos you saw it was up there. It works better if it's down here. And see how it has a plastic grill? It doesn't actually get hot enough to burn you. So it's a safer heater. It's starting to get a little stinky in here. It's mostly my feet. We'll do laundry when we go back down to Dawson City. They have laundry machines and showers in the gas station that let us plug in. So we'll probably stay there for one more night on the way back. I think the highway will be open tomorrow. It says the storm because I mentioned in the video we were going into blizzard conditions. That's why the road's closed. Blizzard conditions should end by tomorrow afternoon, hopefully. Or we'll have to wait it out here for a couple days. Then we should be able to get up there. It's an 8-hour drive all the way to the Arctic Ocean. Probably take a couple extra hours because the road is horrible. Probably going to continue to be horrible. Can't imagine how bad it would be in the summer. The reviews say it's better in the winter, but then at the same time, my shocks aren't working very well because it's so cold. So I personally believe I'd have a better time with my truck in the summertime. Check this out. Look at the ice on the door. Stuck to the bed sheet. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at over here on the pillow. But it's actually getting nice in here. I have taken my jacket off. Temperature has now got up to 58 or about 12 Celsius, and it's going to continue to climb. I got to restart my camera. I don't know why it's got a little glitch going on. Sometimes it does that. But despite all the frost buildup in here, it's actually pretty warm. Alright, I've been up for a couple of hours. I haven't gone to sleep yet. I'm gonna go top off the generator with fuel before I try to sleep. Well, it's 6 in the morning. The road is still closed. I'm refueling not because it ran out, but because while I was sleeping, I did something with my feet, and I turned on the second space heater, which overloaded this breaker. So now we're resetting the breaker and refueling it. Okay, green light. I came out here to a red light. We should be okay. And there's one truck over here also waiting. For the road to reopen. Right now it's negative 36 outside, and yeah, our little heater does a good job. Look at this. Yeah, it's safe to say this heater does a good job. It's like lower 90s for temperature, around 35 Celsius. Very dry, very, very dry. Alright, it's getting really hot in here, so you see when I turn this down, the generator will idle slower. And that'll save fuel. When it's idling like that, it barely uses any fuel. Yeah, it got hot in here, and when it gets colder, this will turn back on, the generator will rev back up to a higher RPM as such. Just like that. It's kind of hot in here, so I'll keep it like that. We're just waiting for it to be 7 o'clock so we can go in there and see if anyone's around in the hotel. Maybe we can get some breakfast. If nobody's around or they don't have breakfast, we're gonna take off, go up north, where we can probably get a shower tonight. We're gonna try to get an actual hotel room tonight. And then tomorrow night, because we don't need a shower anymore, we'll try to just do what we're doing now, but hopefully we can plug in somewhere up north. They got restaurants and stuff up north in that town, so we'll try to do that. Let me show you on my Google map. I was just looking at Florida. I don't know why Google won't approve my reviews of certain campsites I stayed at, but I hit whoop. This is where we are. We're all the way up here in Yukon right now. We're about to hit the next province. Let's see, we're very close. This section of highway's closed right now. We're just waiting for that to reopen, which, yeah, I forgot about. So we are going to be waiting around for a while for that highway to open. Yeah. But this is where we're going. This is our destination. Look at all the little lakes and stuff. We got to come up here sometime in the summer. If people like these videos, maybe we'll come up here in the summer, or next summer maybe. That's where we're going right here. The Arctic Ocean. Alright everyone, we just filled up the generator. Now we're locking the trailer. The road is still closed. It's not windy here, but it is up north where there's absolutely no trees. So the road's expected to be open by this afternoon. So there's only a couple people here waiting for the road. One semi, one truck back there, and us, it looks like. It's 9 in the morning. This place supposedly opened at 7. We just fueled the trailer up, so if we're in here a couple hours having breakfast, maybe taking a shower or two, we'll see what they have. We can come back to a nice warm trailer. We're not going to bother preheating the engine yet because the road is still closed. The plan is we're going to switch over to the engine heater for an hour to give the engine a little bit of a better start. I don't think the I don't think the engine's going to have trouble starting in this. It's in the lower negative 30s right now. Just looked at the weather forecast. Negative 60 might be on the tables for next week. Oh good, there is someone in here this time. We have to take our shoes off. This is cute. They got all the dogs in here. Now we're gonna order breakfast. They said when we go back out, if we find an electrical plug, we can go look at their RV hookups that we can just plug in for free. I think we're both gonna get the Yukoner. This is nice in here. Look at that. The snowmobile. That's cool. All right, everyone, we just got done with breakfast. It was great, and they said we can plug in for free. There's some plugs over here along we can pull up to. The sign is still on, road closed. So the sun comes up in this area for about 1 hour. That is it, 1 hour. There's where we filled up last night with fuel. It's absolutely beautiful out here. Yeah, the gate is still closed, so I guess we're gonna shut off our generator and pull up to the building. Take a look at these trees. This is so cool. The boreal forest. There's the highway. Nothing is slippery. Just gotta keep it slow. That's so cool. Wonder when this will be open. All right, let's cold start this because we prioritize the heat in the camper. It should still start in the negative 30s. It did, it started. It was rough, but it started. Now once we heat up, we're gonna backtrack like 20 minutes. We're gonna go for a ride because this 1 hour, we only got 1 hour of daylight and we gotta go see everything while we can. Look at that, everyone, we got ravens up here. Hey, you should have brought your leftovers out here. We got ravens. I'm a little bit concerned about this. I'm hoping that this right here is not because our bearings were overheating last night and it just leaked out of there. I'm hoping not. I gotta get out while we're moving and touch the bearings and make sure that's not overheating. At the very least, I could pump new grease in there and hopefully get home. All right, we're getting out for a minute. Gotta be careful not to slam the truck doors because the gaskets are hard, all the rubber. Look at this forest. Never seen anything like this in real life. It's beautiful. Look at this other side. It's a winter wonderland. How deep is this snow? Yeah, we're not walking with these boots. We did bring snowshoes. I do want to go on a hike when we're all the way in the Arctic. We're only a couple hours away from the official Arctic Circle. I don't know. Is this grease? Or did a dog or something pee on it? I can't tell if that's grease or not. I'm going to occasionally get out after long drives and make sure that bearing's not overheating, because I can take a heat gun, loosen up that rubber cap and repack it. I'll have to keep the grease gun inside the camper for like half a day because the grease is too thick. You can't use it in this weather. All right, everyone, this is really beautiful out here. This is why we went for a drive. I'm not sure if this is considered the sun being up or not, because I know when they consider an hour of daylight, it comes with a couple hours of twilight before and after. Look at that view up there. There's huge hills on this highway, but none of them are slippery. We traveled all these last night. We're gonna drive to the next little pull-in and then turn around. Go back to the hotel, plug in and wait. Hopefully it's open soon. That blizzard is supposed to subside in the afternoon. At least the light snow is like a cushion from all the bumps we were experiencing yesterday. Look how tiny these trees are. They're so tiny. These right here are actually some of the bigger trees that exist in this area. I don't think the sun's gonna come up any more than you see now. This is so pretty. Look at the squiggle up there in the road. We're gonna keep going until there's a good spot to turn around. Check it out, everyone. The sun is already going away, and it's partially getting covered up by, it just started snowing rapidly down there. It's really pretty. Look at that down there. That's so beautiful. Alright, everyone, we're making it back to this little town, if you want to call it a town. It's a really cool place. It's got a little bit of everything in there. It's got the automotive shop. We can now see everything now that the sun is up. Just passed that truck on the road. He doesn't have tire chains either. Not on anyways. I see him hanging on the truck though. It's interesting, those fuel pumps, because permafrost would break any piping if they had the tank separate. try to back up closer to that.
I also sent around back.
Yeah, I'm hoping I see another one here so I don't have to back up. But I can back up. Yeah, we'll look around back too. While it's daylight, we'll explore. The actual RV hookups are down here. They said if we could get to them. Up in there, maybe? It is plowed. Or... size of that tank right there. Must be so much diesel fuel in that. How slippery is this? Yeah, I want to be careful next to that big cliff. Alright everyone, we just backed up here in the spot and there's a plug over here. This is a great example of how an avalanche forms. You got this heavy snow on top of a fluffy layer. Pretty cool. So now we're gonna try to open this bearing and make sure there's still fluids in there.
Find it?
Yeah, there's a plug right in here.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, get in there and plug it in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's see. Make sure this plug works. A little loose. I might have to stretch the prongs to get that to work properly. See, when a plug is old, it gets a little stretched out and you gotta... I don't know if that's gonna work or not. We'll have to see. Well, we just set up all of our heaters, and what do you know? The moment we do that, we see a truck drive away. They just opened the gate and shut the road closed sign off. Time to go. All right, everyone, we just went back in, grabbed some cookies. We got a piece of fruit cake and banana bread for the road. They said be careful, it's gonna be windy, still blizzard conditions, but they're only opening the road for 4 hours, so we have to move now. If we stay here, we're gonna be here for a day. Also, I think that's dog pee. I don't think I have to worry about the bearing leaking because they have like 5 dogs here and there's little areas where they're marking their territory all over the parking lot. I think one just peed against the trailer, so I don't think we have to worry at all. Some of these plugs are so hard to pull out. I don't want to rip the whole thing out of the trailer. Man, touching this is like nitrogen. But I can't use gloves with these tedious things, unfortunately. Look at the trees now. They're like literal toothpicks, especially on the right side of the road. Look at the moon. Even the moon looks nice out there. Little toothpicks of trees. Look at that. Wow, that is beautiful. I'm getting a still picture of that. Look at the moon. Orangish moon. We'll probably have a full moon if we stay up here for a couple of days. Alright, hopefully we don't get into trouble again on this road as far as closures. I'm hoping that we can get beyond the closure within the 4 hours until it closes again. In the next province, I don't know if there's going to be closures in Northern Territories. This cool bridge. Look at that beautiful moon. It looks nicer in person with this forest. Wow, they blend in so perfect. We saw some of these the other night. These doves. Look at that, they just look like balls of snow. They're so beautiful. About the bumpiness or that squeaking. That's just the panels of the car being very cold. Imagine here being on this one, it's slippery. You would roll thousands of times. This hill is so steep. This is awesome. They're treating it well. They graveled it. Watch for aircraft landing on highway. Next one says emergency airstrip on roadway, 1 kilometer. So let's see what this road becomes at a kilometer. All right, before we attempt a big hill like this, we got to do a brake check. No problems. It's a very, very big hill, and you see down there we have ice fog. That's what that all is. The sky is perfectly clear, but we got fog like dry ice forming everywhere. Alright, this is the landing strip. Perfectly straight, perfectly flat, and twice as wide. And there's a couple of flags on the sides of the roads. It says, do not stop, do not park. There's a wind sock so the pilots can know which way the wind is blowing. All right, everyone, I'm pulling into this scenic view area. Look at that, the poop shack is open. Lots and lots of frost heaves. These are actually kind of fun to drive over. Let me show you the great view. Here's the scenic view. I would love to come up here sometime in the summer. And all these hills are bright green in the spring, full of blueberry bushes and bears everywhere. That'd be so cool. Oh, it's a good thing we pulled in. I think this is the official Arctic Circle. Do they really have a bus stop out here? Maybe in the summer. That's pretty cool. All right, everyone, let me show you up close here before we continue. Make sure everything focuses if anyone wants to read it. We're hoping to see this over the next few days. Just going over it really quick, making sure it all focuses. We're recording in 4K quality. Making sure that all focuses for y'all. There's the Arctic Circle in the red. Cool. Let's get a quick shot of the other side. Okay. Let's continue down the road. Alright, everyone. Time to get back on the road. Look at all the drifting snow right here. It's actually fun to drive through at slow speeds. I love driving the truck through a little bit of a challenge when we bog down a little bit in it. Yeah, look at this. Look at the snow drifts. Yeah, we're driving through a good foot right there of snow drifting. We're keeping four-wheel drive on full time up here. Actually, we've had four-wheel drive on full time since Whitehorse, which was like that's at least 16 hours ago. See right here, you gotta be careful at high speeds on this road because you could lose control if you hit these snow drifts. So everyone, I can definitely see why the road was closed. Our vehicle would have handled it fine, but you see these areas? This is a snow drift. Before the snow plow came through here, there was probably a good half a foot of snow. And if you hit that at high speed, not being able to see it, yeah, you're gonna go off the road. I don't know how bad visibility really was here, but I guess the wind subsided because we don't see anything blowing around, but there's evidence that it was pretty bad. One more hour, we're going to be in Northwest Territory. Lots and lots of drifting snow here that has even drifted back since they plowed it. Look at that big pile. Yeah, we would have had to shovel that or maybe ram at it a couple of times. Here's another pretty big snow drift. Look at that. I love this twilight period right now. Look what we're coming up on. It looks like a front end loader clearing these snow drifts out of the way. Let's zoom in up there. That's cool. A lot of drifting snow. Pass by us. Let's move over carefully so we don't slide off. That's awesome. Look at the plow on the front of that grader. I'd never seen anything like it. It's like what they have on the front of a train. That must be awesome to see go through the big drifts. Look in the distance there. We're about to drive into the snowstorm. It's starting to snow again. I love this long twilight period. There's another another drift. I definitely can see why the road was closed now. Some of these would have been really bad to hit. Looking down at all the swamps, I don't see any evidence that beavers live up here. Alright, as the sun is setting, you can't see far down the road at all. Look at all the drifting snow. We have to be very careful because if we come up upon a big drift, it can cause you to lose control. This is exactly why it was closed last night, and this is why they plan on closing this road again in 4 hours. We just have to get to Northwest Territories, which we're very close to, because I don't think they're going to close it up there. We'll see, though. We might get stuck at the next town again for a day. But it's okay. It's the 29th. We have a couple more days until New Year's. That's our goal, to get up there for New Year's and then start making our way back. Yeah, this is very whiteout conditions. Look at, we're actually driving over a few little drifts. Completely whited out. The road here is actually very smooth compared to yesterday. This actually feels like we're on pavement. The gravel is so packed. In fact, it's not slippery. When I hit the brakes are a little stiff because it's so cold, and I believe the brake rotors are icing up a little bit. So I guess it is okay to ride the brakes slightly on the next hill to hopefully heat them up a little bit to get that off. Look at all that drifting going on. This is kind of cool, being out in this. We're supposed to get into blizzard conditions again. Alright, we've reached another barricade. So, can we continue this way? Or are they just waiting for everyone to get out? Road closed when flashing behind us. So that's now officially closed. Has that already been 4 hours? I guess we're going to continue down this way. I guess they're just waiting for everyone to get off that section so they can reclose it. I'm glad we didn't get stuck here. It doesn't look like a public building that we're allowed to go in. That's so beautiful. With the moon up there. We have a massive hill coming up right now. Ease on the brakes. It's not slippery at all. We have a very sharp corner. This could be very, very bad if it was icy. We're prepared to chain up. I don't think we're gonna have to, though. Hey, look at that big culvert pipe we're about to go over. This is awesome, this crevice that we're going through right now in the mountain. All right, everyone, ferry crossing in 2 kilometers. What's that over there? I see a bunch of Christmas lights. I see a bunch of Christmas lights just randomly in the woods there. That's interesting.
Oh, it's a house.
There's a house there. That must be where the ferry operator lives, or whoever maintains this road in the winter too. That's cool. You come across random off-grid houses every hour or so. Right now we're on an elevated platform. I'm going to actually screenshot the map so I can add this into the video. They made this elevated platform going through this marshy area, and then the actual water crossings coming up. Okay, maximum 20. Here's a stop sign. I see another car up there. Okay, that's the frozen river. What's this say? The ferry. Hours of operation. I don't think that applies this time of year. There's another building here for the people that operate this. What does it say? Peel River Ice Crossing. Open. Maximum weight. 50,000 kilograms. Okay, I guess we're going this way. Alright, this is the first time ever I have driven onto ice. Like, this whole thing is considered an ice road, but this actually has water under it. But if it holds the big trucks, it's sure gonna hold us. Look at this big crack and crevice. Yeah, there's some cracks right here we gotta drive over. Boom, boom. Not too bad.
Oh, there's the ferry.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. They pulled it up like that. Let's zoom in on that. Wow. That's cool. The ferry. Yeah, they even put gravel on that. Great traction too. Alright, we're out of the riverbed. It's pretty awesome. And we're going on another engineered platform through some more swamps. Alright, better be safe than sorry. Auxiliary tank is 100%. The truck's tank is just over half, but we'll take on fuel when we can. We got another probably 6 hours all the way north. Look at that big old bulldozer over there. This side is diesel fuel, so let's... Oh, nope. There's gas too. There's both. Let's top it off. Commercial card lock. All right, everyone. We got a little bit of freezing fog cutting down visibility, but here we go. How do you pronounce that? Mackenzie River Ice Crossing. Does it say road closed? Or no, we can go this side. It looks like they're adding ice and probably thickening up the other lane. Some ripples. Now it's smooth. This is a much bigger river crossing than the other side, or that last river about an hour back. Yeah, it's a big crossing. This river's huge. Running over some that's what they're doing. I heard on the ice roads, they'll actually drill holes and they'll pump water up over the surface and let it harden. And I think that's what these cones are that we're driving by. These cones are so you don't drive over the hole where they suck the water out of to spray over the top to make it thicker so they can have heavier loads. Pretty cool. Now, where's the ferry? Do they have it dry docked like the last one? I don't exactly see it. Yeah, this was a much bigger river to go across. And look at this. Look at this big whoop. Whoa. Wonder if any of the truck's landing gears get stuck on that. Pretty cool. Oh, do I see it? Do we see a ship? Yeah, there's the ship. Right in front of us. Okay, we're gonna continue. Got at least another 4 hours, probably longer. Check this out, everyone. Look at how tall the snow gets here because they had to clear through a gigantic snowdrift. It's taller than the truck. It literally blocks the road. And now, look at that, almost nothing. We're going down a road with some massive snowdrifts. Here comes another one. Wow, look how big that is. We just went through the town Inuvik, and we're definitely on the way back gonna try to go through there during normal business hours. We want to go to some of the gift shops. They have novelty license plates. Northwest Territories is the only place in the world that doesn't have square or rectangular license plates. It's shaped like a bear. That's really cool. We want to get some novelty ones. That'd be cool to put one on the trailer. And we also want to get some cool stickers we can put inside the trailer. The stickers you see in our trailer were from the previous owner. None of those are from us. We kept the ones that we like, and some of them that we didn't like, we got rid of. We're gonna be up there, only 2 more hours left on this road, through the town of Inuvik to their airport. The Dempster highway was actually paved for like a half an hour. And right now it's not paved, it's back to dirt. Almost all the highway is dirt. But it's very smooth. We're actually almost able to go full speed, but we're not going full speed just in case there's some sort of hazard or a very abrupt frost heave. But even up here, we do still see some trees. The trees are getting further and few between, but we do still see little bits of forest. It's pretty cool. The snow is insanely deep here. I just had to climb up on this pile and take a picture of the truck down in this crevice. It's so cold that when I was walking up that, it sounds like you're stepping on styrofoam. It just makes this eerie sound. Look how tight this gets. It gets so tight. This is a massive snowdrift. So yeah, this area during a blizzard, I bet would also get shut down. The end of this road also had gates. I'm gonna time lapse a little bit of driving through this. You can see it's so cold, there's ice forming on the top of the windshield. I just had to turn the defrosters on. Clearing this out with a bulldozer. Actually, that bulldozer is pushing these piles away from the road to make it wider. That's pretty cool. coming out of it. That is awesome. We're nearly 40 below. Oh my gosh, this area. Wow, look at the snow. I have never in my life seen a snowdrift that's this big and dense. Because the way it's blowing in here, it's dense, it's dense. You need those dozers to push through this. This is so cool. You would not want to run over some of those chunks of snow. They're dense. When I climbed up on one of these piles, it's dense. You don't sink into this. And it's so amazing because the snow up here is so fluffy and blows around. It's amazing that when it turns into a drift, how packed it becomes. This must have been some blizzard up here. We've been driving an hour straight, and it's nothing but consistent snow drifting. And here comes another. This is the third working bulldozer that we've seen out here with somebody in it. And we also passed two of them that were off. This is so cool. It's so cold out. Look at that. I wonder how easily these things start up in this weather, the ones that are shut off. That's a pretty small one compared to the others. I wonder if anyone was even in that, or are they just leaving it running just to make sure it starts? Did you see anyone in there? Didn't look like anyone was in there. I guess who's really going to steal it out here in the middle of nowhere? But in case you didn't know, those things are actually pretty easy to drive, those newer ones. It's got an accelerator, it's got a couple joysticks, and a few extra controls if it has a winch. Alright everyone, about an hour later, this feels like a really nice gravel road. There's almost no snow anymore. It's getting pretty flat around here. There's just a bit of rolling hills. It's still very cold. It's currently negative 33, so temperature's been fluctuating all night. All right, everyone, we're about an hour from our destination. There's not much snow around here. I got out and wow, you can see the aurora. Wow. It should be even better next night, tomorrow. First glimpse of the aurora and the moon. Wow. All right, everyone, check this out. We're gonna shut the light off. Look at that. You could start to see the aurora. I think I need to do some long exposure shots, and I think it's going to get way better over the next day. All right, everyone, we are getting very close to our destination. I got to show you what's outside. We just took some awesome pictures. All right, as we drive, as the night continues, it's getting more and more vibrant. It shows up amazingly if I take a long exposure picture. The aurora looks amazing with a long exposure. To the naked eye, it looks not even as good as what you're seeing, but it's getting better and better as the night goes on. And the night is not going to end for 2 weeks. Hopefully when that moon goes away, it looks even better. I'm not sure. But hopefully we start seeing purples too. All right, everyone, as we drive, it's getting stronger and stronger. I love the exposure pictures we're taking. Look at this. When I shut the lights off, now you can see it. Now you can see it. But it looks amazing when you long exposure. But it's getting better and better every moment, and as we drive further north. We still have another 30 minutes of driving. Can't wait to take a picture of the Arctic Ocean sign with this going on. All right, everyone, we just made it. Look at the ice on this truck. Oh my gosh. Look at that grader. Look at all that ice. Wow. All right, we're on our way now to look at the Arctic Ocean. It's too bad the sun's never gonna come up while we're here. The ice buildup on these houses and buildings is just like that truck I was showing you. The buildup is everywhere. I'm imagining it's before the ocean froze. There was probably like lake effect ice or something, or ocean effect ice, something along those lines. Freezing fog coming in off the ocean. Because the ocean's supposedly frozen right now. We're gonna be there in 5 minutes. The ice buildup on some of these houses is insane. The ice buildup on some of these houses is insane. It must be from the gusting wind. Wow. Look at that, everyone. We got a fox. Well, at least we showed him. I have no idea where we're gonna sleep or even plug in. Might have to use the generator until morning when we could maybe find a hotel. There's some interesting restaurants here. One of them sells whale meat. Oh my gosh, the house to the left. Oh my gosh, look at the ice buildup on this house. Yeah, this ice must have built up right before the ocean froze. The ocean is to the right, and it is frozen. And these houses are badly ice covered. It looks like they probably had to scrape the siding off, because there's an abandoned house there I just took some stills of. The entire thing looks like it's made out of ice. There's a lot of snow here compared to what we were just driving in on that road where we took a whole bunch of beautiful aurora borealis pictures. I think there's too much light pollution here to get a good shot of it, and honestly, we're looking at the aurora forecast. Even if we stayed here for 2 weeks, the aurora is never going to be strong here. We got to go back down to Dawson City. Great viewing down there every single day the next couple weeks, so we need to make sure we're down there at least one clear night so we can walk around at night. But up here, it's never going to actually get strong, so we're lucky we saw anything. According to the aurora forecast, you're not even supposed to be seeing it up here. So I can't imagine how strong it would be. Like at the hotel we parked at last night, they're in the peak area. So is Dawson City. In a couple days, so is Whitehorse. This area is not in the peak at all. Yeah, big boat. It looks like we're actually going out on a peninsula, like a little beach. We're gonna get out and walk around. Maybe take out the massive flashlight, maybe do some long exposure shots of the sky, because you can't see it with the naked eye, but the camera can absolutely see the aurora. So this is like a little park down here. Gotta see that sign. Yeah, I guess this is like a little park. Supposedly further down here. How far can we actually drive? I don't know if we can actually drive down there any further. Again, the aurora's not great for viewing to the camera or even the naked eye. You gotta take some stills to be able to get anything actually good. And look at this, what's this signpost? So we just pulled up out here on this peninsula in town, surrounded by the Arctic Ocean, completely frozen. You can tell this area gets really windy. We can't film for long It's mainly the fingertips. Look at that. I want to get some still pictures out here, and we're gonna go for a little walk. I don't know if we're gonna see bear tracks or anything, but okay, everyone, we're gonna top off with fuel, and supposedly there's a place that we can plug into for free for campers. We're gonna go check that out. It'll be good if we don't have to run the generator, because around here there's no trees, there's no barriers, and it's windy and negative 37, so it's not pleasant. We couldn't even go for a walk. The wind chill is so bad out here. Not fun being out for even a minute. It makes sense because we're up here at what they call the North Pole. We just took a picture of what they call the North Pole. This is like the highest point you can possibly drive in Canada. Okay, so 236 is the highest gas price I have ever seen. That's by the liter. You convert that, you do the money exchange rate. That's over $7 a gallon. Wow. Well, I'll probably never pay that again in my life. Well, maybe someday when inflation. But okay, we just filled up, and you know what I've noticed? See here on our toolbox, see how all that ice is right there, but not on this side? That is all vapor from the tailpipe building up. Look at some of these buildings. Look at all that ice. I've never seen anything like it. Wow. Look at that. Look at those cars and trucks right there. Oh my gosh. I've never seen stuff so covered in ice. Just driving around this neighborhood is insane. I've never been to such a cold place in my life. The wind chill is close to negative 100. It's hard to be outside for any amount of time. All right, everyone. We could not find a place in town, so we're on the outskirts in this little pull-in. Hopefully no one messes with us. We got a good amount of aurora in the sky. It's very weak, though. It's so cold. We're just gonna have to cold start it again in the morning. There was literally nowhere in town. We got sent on a wild goose chase to a place that we could plug into, and there was no camping signs everywhere. So we're just off the road a little bit at a little pull-in. So hopefully we're okay. All right. See you in the morning. What's that say for temperature in here? It is negative 25 in the camper right now. Push your breath out. Show the camera how cold it is in here. We gotta wait for this camper to heat up. Couldn't risk the truck. It would just keep I wish there was a way to disable the CO detector on that stupid generator, because the truck will keep shutting it off if it's idling and the wind is blowing around so much. Doesn't matter where we put the generator, it'll find it if the truck's on. All right, everyone, it's now 9:45, and we're probably gonna take off in about an hour. So it sounds like the generator's running a little rough right now. I think it's about to run out of fuel. So that means I gotta go out there. It's currently very warm in here. I'm about to go out there and top it off, and I'm also going to plug in the truck's heaters. It should allow me to plug in the pan heater. It won't let me put the pan and the block heater. In these colder temperatures, the generator doesn't produce as much wattage, we realized. I always thought current flowed more. Maybe it's just not running at the high RPMs to produce that amount of power. But in here, it's really, really nice and warm. But yeah, about an hour we'll go back to town when a few things open. We think they might be open. We don't even know if some of the restaurants and stuff are open. They actually look seasonal looking at all the reviews, but we want to go check out the furthest north Canadian grocery store you can go to. So just curious how expensive it'll be, what they sell up here. We'll see. Gasoline was the most expensive thing I've ever seen up here, so let's see everything else. And then in a couple hours we'll backtrack to Inuvik and look around there, and then probably spend the night there. Then we'll backtrack to that hotel again. But I'm gonna end this video here. If we see anything interesting in town, I'll make some separate videos and shorts. But thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day. Oh. No, we gotta go out there. I have actually had no issue with that generator ever starting in the cold, even if the engine cools down. It definitely cools down. That engine will cool down in like 10 minutes. It's so cold out there right now. So yeah, it has no problem starting that little Honda generator. You just have to let it idle for a couple minutes before you demand power out of it, or it'll stall. Okay, everyone. Going on out. Gotta be careful of polar bears here because we're only 5-minute drive from the ocean. We just moved outside of town a little bit so we wouldn't bother anyone. Look at the moon. It's like bright orange. Just rising. Yeah, it's pitch dark out here still. Got a lot of frost building up around the camper. Okay, let's fuel this up. So we're gonna have to choke it again. These mittens I like because they're touchscreen. They don't last long. I'm still gonna get very cold, but I would get cold instantly without them. Especially touching these items in this sort of weather. So let's get the generator fueled back up, and we're gonna top off this gas can in town, which is close to nearing empty. It's so cold. It is so cold. The wind chill is bad. We had no problems until we drove up here. Every other night was decent because there's no wind chills, but there's no trees up here. Okay, it should start right up. Okay. The sun will not rise up here. This is about all you're gonna see up here in the Arctic. And there's still a little bit of aurora. I gotta take some pictures up here before we go. Let's see if the truck's gonna wanna start. All right, let's try to start the truck. Oh, I don't have my key on me. All right, now I got the keys. Let's start it. That was a rough start, the roughest of the rough. It is, let's see. That is the power steering pump you're hearing screaming. The engine heaters would not prevent that. Good thing I got a new starting battery before we took this trip. It is -48. Ooh. Driving back around to take pictures this afternoon. I think we found the electrical plugs that the guy was telling us about. So it wasn't actually at the point, it's near the point. So this is where you can plug in for free. Oops. I don't know if we're gonna stay here another night. We'll see. All right, everyone. Thank you for reaching the end of the video. Now I'm gonna do a voiceover on some of the pictures I took. So you will literally get ice building up on your nose. It's so cold out here. Check that out. Just your breath freezing up over your nose. You only want to be out there a few minutes without a face covering, or you can literally freeze your nose. You don't want to touch gasoline pumps or anything like that. Your hands are gonna feel like you're touching nitrogen. Here's a picture from one of the stores. Some certain items are very expensive up here. Driving around during the twilight period, we got to take lots of pictures of the ice, the Arctic Ocean. We're using long exposure shots. It's not actually this bright out. The camera is enhancing the little bit of glow on the horizon to make it look more like daylight. This is the local church they have. Got some pictures of that. The ice building up on these structures was insane. I'm imagining most of the ice buildup is before the ocean froze. One of the locals told me that we're here during the coldest time. They get a couple weeks of super cold, and it usually starts lightening up a little bit and starts becoming more mild. And here's some pictures from this morning when we first opened the camper door. We could see a little bit of the aurora, but it mostly dissipated. That little bit of horizon glow really helps with the long exposure shots. That looks like the sun, but that is the moon. Nice orange moon. Not a tree in sight when you're this far north. There's their cemetery. Look kind of interesting, covered in the ice. Got a few shots of that. Take a look at this building. We believe this building's abandoned. It was actually wide open. Just taking pictures of random structures as we were driving around town. The ice buildup is really fascinating. Especially this house, lots of ice. But then again, the ice, it does add another layer of insulation like an igloo. See how all the structures are up on stilts like that? Because the ground flexes around with all the frost heaving, and this is all built on permafrost. Here's some pictures at the North Pole. Beautiful long exposures with the aurora in the back. This house also looks abandoned, but it looks really cool. I think the other buildings, they must scrape it off. There's a road grader covered in ice. There's a delivery truck covered in ice. Now, the aurora looks beautiful, but it did not look like this to the naked eye. We had to use long exposure, which makes everything look brighter and more vibrant. To the naked eye, you couldn't even see the green really. It looked more white. But we weren't even supposed to see it here, so hopefully when we go south back to Dawson City, where it's peak viewing when the sky is clear, hopefully we'll see much, much more amazing shots of it. So here is what it actually looks like to the naked eye. It just looks white. Not much of anything. And further south, just a couple of scrawny-looking old-growth trees in the boreal forest. These little trees are much older than you could possibly imagine. There's the ferry dry docked when we went across the ice crossing. Just a couple little lone trees growing out here, but this was hours south from up here. But along the highway, it goes from looking like this, like Antarctica, then you'll see a little bit of forest again, back and forth, back and forth. Really interesting. Here is the official welcome signs to the Northwest Territories and Yukon. And here is the Arctic Circle sign, also pretty cool looking. The official Arctic Circle. I hope today's video was interesting. And I appreciate you from watching all the way to the end. This was the longest drive I've ever done in my life. It took about 200 hours on the road to get up here. Lots and lots of fuel. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, getting to drive up here during the coldest possible time of the year.